What's good, people? It's Jewel Entertainment Network, and I'm back for another video. Today I'm not doing a shooting location, but I'm more going to be talking about the Jdot, Breezy, and 1200 and Atlanta situation. So, for those who don't know, basically, Jacksonville rappers, and rappers in general, basically anyone from the U.S., once they get a buzz, they usually they leave their state and they go to Atlanta. Now, I'm not exactly sure why. A lot of people describe Atlanta as kind of like a get money city, as kind of like a just a chill place to kind of like when you're rich, you just kind of go there. Like most rappers, like so many rappers live in Atlanta, it's actually crazy. Like I don't honestly say that like probably a good like I'm not even joking. I'd say like a good like probably like a 6% of the entire population of Atlanta is probably rappers. I'm not even joking. Like Dirk lives there, 22 G's lives there, fucking Jdot, Breezy lives there, WAP lives there, Fulio lives there, fucking I think Spins lives there too, J4 lives there, fucking I think like all those like any rapper with a bit of money and a bit of clout goes to Atlanta. Now I'm not exactly sure why, but Jacksonville specifically, Jacksonville guys didn't really get put on the map like in terms of drill rap, in terms of like actually being well, not even just drill rap, just rap in general. Like Jacksonville wasn't really on the map really until 2018 when you had Ace and Fulio really start to take off, and then they moved to Atlanta, and those were like the first guys to do that. Now, around, I believe it was 2020, well, in 2020, late 2020, Jdot moved there too, but at some point around 2022, you started seeing Jdot with a bunch of Blood gang members in his videos and shit, and he started to link up with them. You can see in, like, when he dropped Big Blood, when he dropped, he had, like, all those pictures of him with, like, a bunch of Bloods and shit. And so basically 1200, like all the core members of 1200 all fucking switched to Blood and fucking moved to Atlanta, which is kind of weird to be honest. Like all those guys used to be cut, like WAP was always cut, all these guys were cut, and then they just switched to Blood. It's just kind of weird because you're like, you know, Blood, becoming like a Blood or joining like a, you know, a gang, that's some shit you usually do when you're like, you know, 13, 14, 15 or some shit, but you got these guys who like, you know, they turn 20, 21, 22. They're like grown-ass adults. WAP was like 25, 26. WAP was like a grown-ass man who joins a gang after getting money. Like, and I think like people said this before. I think Boosie talked about this as well. Like, it's backwards. It's like you get clout, you get money, you know, you make it out the hood, and then you go to another hood and fucking join a gang. Like, what kind of logic is that shit? But specifically, Jdot has been like really involved in this shit. I recently saw Jdot was even dissing like local guys from Atlanta, like local gang members from Atlanta in his fucking songs and shit, which is just so fucking crazy to me because doing this shit like already is stupid as fuck. Like let me explain this to you, right? So like Jdot and all these guys, right? WAP, Spins, they've all almost been killed like on numerous times, right? So they like lived in the trenches their whole lives, almost got killed tons of times, had to, you know, go to prison, do all this shit, do all this criminal shit, almost got killed. Finally make it out of the trenches, right? You make it out of the trenches, you're rich, right? So you go to Atlanta. All right, great. That's great. But then they fucking join a gang in Atlanta. Like do you know how dumb that is? Like you literally made it out the hood. And you instead, after making it out, instead of just chilling and living life, you go to another city and then get involved in their criminal underworld. Like who the fuck does that shit? I just genuinely like that is so dumb. I just genuinely can't think. Like, imagine Dirk. Like, this is like the equivalent of Dirk back in like 2014. He gets all rich. He's, you know, OTF and all that shit. Lamron. Then he gets on. He goes to Atlanta and then joins a fucking blood set in Atlanta and starts beef with the local people in Atlanta. How fucking dumb is that? Like, Jdot is so fucking stupid for that if you think about it. Because, okay, Jacksonville's like a no-go zone for him, right? You move out, right? You're good. You're safe finally. Well, you can never fully be safe, but you're a lot safer in Atlanta than in Jacksonville, right? He ruined his safe place because now it's like, if you're in Atlanta, you have all these guys that you started beef with looking for you. Now you're in Jacksonville, you got all the old guys that you started beef with looking for you. And it's just so fucking stupid. Especially, I swear, Jdot is honestly reaching levels of, he's reaching like AR-AB levels of fucking retardation. Because he's literally fucking posting pictures of him with documented gang members from Atlanta with firearms, with red bandanas and shit all over him. Like, I just genuinely don't understand. Talking about all this shit in songs, like, man, I'm not even going to get into that shit, but, like, people want to say, oh, you're snitching on Jdot. No, I'm not snitching on Jdot. That man is snitching on himself. If someone walks around and says, I shot this fucker, I fucking paid for this guy to be killed, and you point that out, that's not snitching. This dumbass already said that. And what's crazy to me is, like, now I'm not saying I want this to happen. I'm not saying I want it to happen, but it's just crazy to me how Jdot is still not even been arrested, but not even been bothered by the law. Like, not even petty shit, because it's like, you're literally running a fucking interstate goddamn crime organization and shit with like, you know, SMM and Blood and Frontline and all this shit and 1200. Like, it's just crazy. It's actually shocking to me how JSO, obviously JSO doesn't give a shit. They're fucking stupid. But Atlanta PD, I thought APD is like a bit more on their shit because it's like it's a richer city. I thought they'd be on the shit. Apparently not, unless they're waiting for some big RICO. Like, this shit is just retarded as fuck. Like, this man is literally calling himself Murder Man. Murder Man. Murder Man. And he's like, he's here clicking up with all these motherfuckers and no one gives a shit. The police are just like, oh, whatever. And, like, I'm not even going to speculate, but as we know, Jdot did snitch back in 2017, so I have seen some people float the idea that possibly the reason he hasn't been really bothered by the law is because he's you know, maybe giving intel or some shit. I'm not saying that's the case, but I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible because it's like, how the fuck are you literally proclaiming all this shit, getting involved in numerous fucking beefs, doing contract killings all across the damn state, outside of the state as well, and you're like still like not even getting a traffic ticket? Like, what the fuck? That's a bit weird. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to cover that situation. For those who don't know, Jdot, you know, he's kind of a gang switcher. Like, he, you know, he started off as 6 Block, then he switched to, he tried to get involved in ATK back in 2019, then he was like all S4C and shit, NHG, then he switched to Coup, he's been 1200 for a while, and then he basically joined a new gang in Atlanta called Frontline. It's a SMM blood set out here in, I think, Decatur, something like that. And yeah, so I mean, I doubt that he was like actually jumped in, because that's like kind of stupid. I have seen some people say even that, like, this sounds a bit retarded to me, but maybe if you guys know, maybe maybe if I'm not seeing something, you can explain to me. But I've heard some people saying that this blood set in Atlanta, Frontline, is basically paid them to switch to Blood and promote their set, which that just sounds kind of retarded to me. Like, what's the point? Like, what do they gain from that? What does Frontline gain from paying Jdot, Breezy, and WAP and all these guys to switch to Blood and bang that shit and like claim this shit? Like, I just genuinely don't see how, like, what's the point of that? Like, it's not like the damn army where people are like recruiting and shit. It's not like, oh yeah, people all over the hills of Atlanta and shit are gonna go join Frontline because Jdot, Breezy's fucking waving a red flag around sometimes. Like, I just genuinely don't understand that. I don't. That's what I think is like. I don't think that's the case. I think they probably, I don't know. It probably started off as like some tapping in protection shit, and eventually they just got really close, and then eventually Jdot is now full-fledged member, goddamn leader, borderline of this shit. It's like just kind of, it's weird, you know. That's probably what it started off. I don't think these guys like paid them to switch to bang Blood. That doesn't make sense to me at all. But I just gotta say, I think the 1200 guys are making a big mistake. Fulio, as we know, is fucking stupid as well. He's always in Jacksonville, even though he's a giant fucking target. But I will say that, like, Fulio he's a lot. Right now, he's behaving in a smarter way to them, just kind of laying low and not doing shit. And I think one of the reasons he made, like, people say he's not dropping music and all that shit, he's being lazy. Partly, I think it's because he's fucking super depressed and he's, like, addicted to drugs and he feels like shit. That's part of it. And then part of it is also, I think he might be laying low for the possible RICO that may or may not be coming, because in that No Jumper interview, he said he was scared about a RICO. So, you know, it may be that, but I think he's definitely smarter, because Fulio, he took his money. Like, Fulio was on the right path, kind of, back in, like, from, like, you know, when he blew up originally to, like, 2022, I'd say. Like, he was on the right path. Like, he got his money, he left. I think he was either living in Atlanta or LA or something. And he was doing the right thing. He wasn't, like, getting involved in stupid shit. But recently, he's just been, like, on his suicidal shit, just going back to Jacksonville, just chilling in Jacksonville, posting his location. It's like he wants to die, you know? So he's been kind of stupid in that regard. But I just think, like, just seeing these guys put their freedom and their careers and their money and all this shit in jeopardy like this is just, man, it kind of hurts to see. It's like seeing these people being handed a golden opportunity. Like, you finally get to move out of Jacksonville. You finally get to be rich. You get a legal, stable source of income, legitimate income. You don't have to sell drugs. You don't have to do any of that shit anymore. You can just rap and make a lot of money doing it, and you can move out and chill in Atlanta, right? And these guys are flushing that shit down the drain, man. Because now it's like, man, if they drop a RICO, there's so much shit they can drop on him now. They'd be like, oh yeah, now he's not just a criminal gang member in Jacksonville. He's a criminal gang member in Atlanta. He's not just a criminal gang member. He's a criminal gang leader of a blood set. Man, if they tried to drop that shit on him, even if it isn't true, the jury would still probably buy that because of all the shit he's done, all the shit he's posted with the blood, the red bandanas and the guns and the everything he's rapped about is just fucking nuts. And it's even crazier how they haven't been, like, there's been, like, no legal issues. Like, last thing I think Jdot got arrested for was, like, last year for beating his kids or something. So it's like, you know, they don't even care about, like, that shit. It's just kind of crazy to me, but, you know, I do hope they stay free. Like, the reason I'm so mad isn't because, like, I want them to get arrested. The reason I'm mad is because it's, like, you're getting handed this golden opportunity, and you're just flushing it down the drain, like... You know what I mean? Like, imagine how much shit you had to go through. Like, I mean, WAP, like, you know, he was living in the trenches. All these guys were living in the trenches, hungry, broke, getting shot at every day. WAP's, like, little baby cousin got his head blown off in front of him. Like, you finally get opportunity to set up your kids for life. To move out of Jacksonville and leave the gang shit behind forever. And you're fucking flushing that down the toilet, you know? To bang blood. To ride around with fucking guys who are, like, half your age... waving red flags and guns around. It's just so dumb. I'll say Lil Papa is doing really good though. I don't know everything about him, but from what I've seen, Lil Papa's always been a pretty smart guy. I think he's probably the smartest one because he doesn't get involved in dissing. He doesn't get involved in that shit. He just kind of stays in his lane, makes his money, and just stays low key. That's the smartest one. Lil Papa's definitely the smartest one. I think he does live in Atlanta too, and I haven't seen him get involved in any of that blood bullshit. He doesn't really even get involved with 1200 that much either. Like, he doesn't, you know, wave guns around or anything like that. Like, Lil Papa's definitely the smartest one, at least from an outsider's perspective. He seems like the smartest one. And if you do see, like, a lot of these guys, a lot of the most successful rappers right now, aren't even like the drill rappers who are constantly getting involved in beef and shit. If you think about it, like Rod Wave, right? Rod Wave, he doesn't make any, like, I don't think he makes drill music. He just makes pain music, right? And he doesn't diss anyone. He just stays in his own lane. He minds his own business, right? That dude's making tons of money, sold out shows, super famous, doesn't have to, his car isn't getting shot up. He's not getting harassed by the police. He isn't getting sent to prison. You look at him, like, he's doing really well for himself. Same thing with Papa, but you look at these guys like Fulio, Jdot, all these guys, like, dissing. Fucking Fulio's falling off now because the only thing he was good at was dissing, and now he doesn't want to do that anymore. He's a junkie now. He's literally a junkie. He's crippled. He's in a wheelchair. His foot's, you know, it's like his foot's blown off. It's like, you know, like, look what that got him. Like, that's, you know, that wasn't worth it at all. That was terrible. If he just kind of, like, I mean, not saying anything wrong with dissing, but it's like, it seems kind of like the energy you put out is what you get back, you know? And it's kind of like karma's been kind of hitting Fulio pretty bad recently, and, you know, I kind of, like, think he deserves it, to be honest, because if you've been looking at Fulio, the shit he was doing since 2018, that guy was so fucking evil. Like, Fulio was really doing some real fucked up shit throughout his whole career, so now to see him beaten, it's kind of like, I think it's good because it's kind of humbling him, you know? And it's like, all the shit, all the negativity and all that shit he put out, about, like, you know, fucking printing out t-shirts of dead people and pissing and throwing up on them and making, you know, literal, like, packs of people. Like, he'd do that shit. Fulio, he literally made a leaky pack. Like, he literally took all of 6 Block to on a field trip to a goddamn weed dispensary and got a custom leaky pack printed out. And he sold those things. Like, all that shit, and now it's like, you know, he's shot in the foot, he's addicted to drugs, he's depressed. It's like, man, Fulio, like, I can't even say, like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but it's like, I mean, you kind of got what you put out, you know? That what goes around comes around sometimes, and that's kind of what seems to be going on. But this video is kind of long, yeah, and it's not like a shooting location or anything. I just kind of wanted to give my take on the whole kind of, like, whatever's going on between Atlanta and Jax. It would be interesting to see, though, if there is, like, a serious RICO happen. That would be pretty entertaining to watch, to see all the shit, all the evidence, all the shit, and the connection. Because this is actually some pretty cool shit. Like, I actually haven't seen anything as big as this, actually. Like, even, like, the shit in Chicago, that's, like, all going on in Chicago. Like, all that OTF, STL, crime shit, that's all going on just in Chicago. It's isolated in Chicago. This shit is, like, interstate. I've never seen anything like this before. I think the closest thing I can think to would be, like, the, like, Tupac situation, you know, where it was, like, shootings in Vegas and LA and New York, like, some, you know, whole nationwide shit. Because over here, you think the Jacksonville beef has been crazy, because it was, like, you know, you had people getting killed in Waycross, you had people getting killed in Orlando, you know, people, you know, it's like, it was some crazy shit, a lot of crazy shit going on, but yeah, we'll see what happens. If there is a RICO, I guess, like, it probably happened either this year or the next one, or there might not be at all, but I kind of doubt it, because, I mean, if Young Thug, right, look at Thug, like, and YSL, like, they kept a pretty, like, tight ship. They didn't really, like, people didn't think Young Thug was, like, this big-ass crime lord and shit, right? Like, he kind of kept a low profile. This still eventually got him. These guys who are openly talking about all the shit they're doing, if they're going to get a guy who's low-key like Thug, then I feel like they're probably going to get the guys who are yelling and really open and boastful about the shit, you know? But that's just my opinion. Maybe nothing will happen at all. I don't know. I mean, even Boosie, he dodged, like, a ton of shit because Boozy would have been in prison right now for all the shit he ordered. But the only reason he got off was because of luck, literally because of just the that one kid he had, his shooter, just didn't want to snitch at the end, and he just everything got dropped because they put it on this one kid. They rested the whole case on this kid, and when he didn't want to testify, that's just what happened, and the whole case fell. But I kind of doubt. I mean, that's super rare. The only rapper I can think of who did all this shit and didn't end up dead or in prison is Boozy, and he's that the only reason he got away with that was because extreme luck. So I don't know if these guys are going to be as lucky, especially because there's more people involved. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what video you want to see next, and I'm out of here.